welcome to the World Economic Forum, where we are going to establish the new world order. Lane, what's your take on the new world order, dude?
Dude, before we get started, I have a question for Jaymes. It's really important.
Okay.
I was just wondering what your favorite seltzer is.
I'm gonna go with Mr. Jefferson's here.
Cool. Okay, just
What is
wondering.
that whiskey, James? You showed me it one time.
It's called Jefferson's. It's yummy.
Is it like bottled from 1776 or what?
No, it is made in Kentucky though. It's yummy. It's pretty smooth for a bourbon.
I can't handle whiskey anymore, man.
Well, I don't drink a lot of it, so that's helpful.
No, for sure. My last time I did whiskey was after a Conor McGregor fight at my brother's house, and I woke up with like a black eye, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "What happened?" And they're like, "You might want to avoid your brother today." And I was like, "What happened?" And they're like, "You don't remember?" I was like, "No." And they're like, "You tried to wrestle him last night, and he choked you unconscious." So that's the last time I did whiskey.
That is amazing.
That was like 2.5 years ago.
I've never drank that much alcohol, but I don't remember what happened the day before.
You know,
it's never happened to me. I've vomited a lot. That's happened for sure.
Well, in my younger years, that happened all the time. Like we'd be partying, and then somebody would hook me up with whiskey or vodka, and like I would just get sicker than a dog and just puke all night. But those were the younger years.
Peppermint schnapps. I cannot drink peppermint schnapps to this day. If I smell them, I want to throw up.
Isn't that what you had at your grandma's house when we go play snooker?
Yup.
Oh yeah, that's pretty gross.
Yeah,
I didn't even drink it.
That's also what I drank out at Logan Wyrick's one of his New Year's Eve parties. I was with Josh Amrine and Jason McCarty that night, and I got freaking smashed, and I puked a lot the next day.
Those parties were fun, man.
Those parties were. I
got a story about those one of those parties, and you know we'll get back to this. I kind of want to talk about Nathan, but so a little touchy, but one time it was me, Nathan, Kip Schuler, maybe Lane, maybe you too, James, and Kip had called some kids from Greensburg. We were out at at the hunting lodge, Logan Wyrick's hunting lodge, and Kip had called some guys from Greensburg, and I guess a girl from Greensburg was at the party.
Oh no! Oh, I remember this.
You remember this? Okay.
It was not a girl from Greensburg.
Okay. Well, it
was a girl from our own school.
Okay.
Well, I remember this very vividly.
Okay, what was the drama? Tell me what the drama was.
If I remember right, I'm not going to name her name, but she was sort of involved with one of the Greensburg guys, and then also not involved and was getting involved with one of the Haviland guys. And she was out of the party, got smashed, and I think we were in that round top shed, and Logan had the RV parked in there, and she passed out and was in the RV because she was done. She just had been drinking forever, I guess. And I think it was Kip started all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I think they called looking for her. Yeah, right. I think they called looking for her, and he decided in his infinite wisdom of, drinking mini beers that it would be a good idea to pick up the phone for her. He picked up her call and immediately, I think, started talking all kind of shit. I don't know how they knew where we were. I guess he must have given them really specific directions.
He dropped the GPS coordinates.
I think
Nathan, like a tactical error.
I think Nathan got on the phone and said, "Bring it," and told him.
That might have been it.
Yeah. And so I went to go take a piss outside the barn or whatever, and I'm sitting there taking a leak, and I hear a truck just roaring down a dirt road.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I was sitting in the front yard when that happened.
I was out in the front too. Like I was on the side of the barn taking a leak, so I'm turning, looking at the street, and out of nowhere, this truck tries to turn in.
Bro, they just about rolled in that front yard.
going like 55 or 60.
Yeah, they just
I,
about rolled that truck.
I remember it just tipping.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I
was
remember
like 20 yards away from that.
I remember they were hurt a little bit because we went and checked them out, didn't we? And then
Yeah.
and then we helped them out and all this stuff. And then Nathan's like, or Kip was like, "What's up, boys? What's up?" And then and we're like, "Hey, dude, they just got to."
Before you go further, you need to explain to people who Kip is so they understand just a little bit about why this is so funny.
Okay, well,
Kip Schuler is the man.
Yes,
Kip is
I agree.
He is a ball of fire.
yes.
He's all heart and passion, and don't get in his way when he's in a passionate mood, because he will run you over.
Ooh, yeah, he really will. But I actually messaged him 2 weeks ago. When I was in Kansas, I was like, "Hey, are you still Forrest Gump? You still running all over the place?" And he's like,
I think he is, isn't he?
he said, "No, I'm teaching little Forrest Gumps." And I said, "Would you mind getting on my podcast at some point and just catching us up with how life's been going?" And he said, "Yeah, I'd
Dude,
love
that'd
to."
be awesome. I'd love to
So
hear from that guy.
That'd be great.
I'm gonna get him on for sure.
Is he still in Iowa?
Yes, yeah, he's a teacher out there. But yeah,
The last time I talked to him, I met him in Iowa when I had some sites years ago in Iowa, and me and him linked up out there for a night or two.
Yeah, dude,
Cool.
Kip was a beast. Me and Lane talked about it in our first podcast of how he ran it back against Greensburg. Nate blocked somebody in the back. They kicked it again, and Lane ran it back again.
Yeah,
so
I was standing on the sidelines when the JVers called Nate. They literally yelled at Nathan for blocking in the back. The ref didn't see it. There was no flag. And then some JVer, I don't know who it was, he goes, "Oh, Nathan, you're so stupid." And then the ref threw the flag, and Coach Blattner turned around and he goes, "Will you guys shut up?"
Dude, so real quick before you get it, I just want to drop one more Kip anecdote to just kind of add to the legend.
Yes.
But it was me and him and Connor Drindle, and we were like ding dong ditching at the Williams' house, right? And like Josiah and Jeremiah were coming out, and they were trying to throw water balloons at us. You know, we were having a good time, right? And so we were taking off, running away, and Kip and I got separated from Connor, and we couldn't find him. So we were driving around in Kip's old brown car. Remember that thing?
Oh yeah.
And we were trying to find Connor, and we did, and we see him, and some guy has Connor held up against his car with a knife held to his throat. Like, dead serious. He was like, remember after the tornado, all those weird people from Greensburg moved over to Haviland and nobody knew who they were?
Yeah.
And they were living in like just random houses. So it was one of those dudes, and he was clearly on something. I don't know. Maybe he was on fentanyl before fentanyl was a thing. But we get up there, and there's one other. Oh, Tanner McFarland was with us. And so me and Tanner are trying to talk to this guy, like talk him down, you know, like be like, "Yo, bro, you know what? We don't want any trouble." And he's like,
"Wait,
"Oh,
he was holding Connor at knife point?"
Yes, to his throat, dude. Like,
wow.
Dead serious. And so me and Tanner are trying to talk him down. He's like, "He ran through my yard, you know, blah, blah, blah." And we're like, "Whatever." And we're like, "We don't care. Obviously, you're insane. You're on a million drugs. Let's just try to get out of here." And we finally start getting him kind of worked down a little bit, relaxed.
Oh,
and
no.
All of a sudden, Kip, I don't know why he thought he was inaudible, but he turns to us. He goes, "When he lets his guard down, we jump him." And the guy immediately, "Hey, I got reflexes like a fucking cat." And I was like, "Oh."
Wow. That is awesome.
Oh man, when he turns his back, let's jump him.
Dude, back to the Wyrick thing. I was standing there with Lee, Kendall. We were all standing around the campfire that we had going out there. And I don't remember the guys from Greensburg, who they were. Obviously, they were good dudes. We were just stupid high schoolers. But Lee was out there with a baseball bat. And I think he had been out there with a baseball bat literally all night for, like, no reason. Like, it was just draped over his shoulder. He'd been walking around all night. Like, I don't know why. He just was.
Okay.
And one of the Greensburg guys.
Dr. Pepper attached to it.
Yeah. One of the Greensburg guys walked up to Lee and he goes, "What's it with baseball bat, Lee?" And Lee goes, "I don't know. You want there to be something with baseball bat?" And the guy just kind of walked off.
Those parties were epic out at Wyrick's.
Dude, they were fun.
They were a blast. I have a funny story about Nate. I actually saw Ruth at her restaurant, and I told her about this story. Me and Nathan, we were linebackers, so we had to do drills together. And Nathan would always do this gauge. He would hold his fingers up like this, and he'd, if he wanted to go hard, it'd be up here. If he wanted to go like, yo, let's take it easy, he'd be like down here. So 90% of the time, every time Rob would get us together to do our linebacker drills, Nate would go like this and like kind of go real low. And one time before practice started, we all, we don't have our shoulder pads on, but we have our helmets on. And Nate was making fun of me, and he was right behind me, and I had my helmet on already. And he just kept, barking, whatever, poking at me. And I was like, when he puts his helmet on, I'm going to turn around and hit him as hard as I can with my head. and so I see him putting his helmet on, and he just puts it on. And sure enough, I hit him as hard as I can. And he goes stumbling down, falls down. And then he gets up on his knees and he goes, all day. All day. Like, sure enough, man, we went at it all day. But freaking rest in peace, Nate.
Yeah.
That was a sad thing. And any of the homies listening that knew Nate, he always did everything hard, hammer down. He was the man. No one could beat him, I'll tell you that. But rest in peace, buddy. But Lane, let's switch gears. Let's go political. Jaymes, Lane, super
Right,
proud
bro.
of you, man. One of my Dusty hit me up and he's like, hey, I heard Lane on today's podcast on Louder, and he's like, he was spitting some serious like shit. And so I actually just listened to it, and you were talking about how Joe Biden, the House is actually gonna look into it now, like all the laptop leaks and what was on it and the payments, and how can you kind of break it down, like what might happen with this whole ordeal?
Yeah. So you got to remember when all this laptop stuff came out, it was right before the election, right?
Yep.
And so they buried it all. The New York Post put out the story. Twitter, blocked its dissemination. Facebook throttled it. And basically, they said it was a disinformation, whatever. Well, not because of that, but in large part because of that, Joe Biden gets elected. But not only does he get elected, so does the Democratic House. They take the majority. So as soon as that happens, the Republicans lose any investigative power to start new investigations. So there's been 2 years in limbo here where we started learning more about the laptop because of different leaks and different sources and things like that. But there hasn't been able to be like a formal investigation launched because there was no authority by the Republican Congress people to, I guess, not subpoena the DOJ, not subpoena the Treasury Department, but demand certain documents from the Treasury Department. So what James Comer and Jim Jordan announced today, they're the congressmen from Ohio and Kentucky. They said they're going to start looking into these documents that are on the found on the laptop, because of documents found on the laptop. And there's these things called SARs, which are suspicious activity reports. And so every time you file a transaction with your bank, or anybody does, if it's enough money and people think the bank suspects fraud or money laundering or something nefarious, they have to report it to the Treasury Department. And there's a group, I don't really know, maybe they're like a media watchdog. They're called Media Reports. They released findings that Hunter Biden has been named in 150 of these reports. And if you kind of put that along with the information that's on the laptop, it shows that there was a lot of commingling between Hunter's finances and Joe's finances. Like Hunter would get money and then he'd reimburse his father with it. And there was quotes, about like save 10% for the big guy that were found in Hunter's emails. And the big guy, Bob Alinsky, the Ukrainian dude, said, okay, the big guy is Joe Biden. And of course that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And there's other Ukrainian officials that thanked Hunter Biden for allowing him to spend time with his father. This was when he would have been vice president. And so there's all these connections that have kind of been, it's like those, like if you are like the crazy Charlie guy on Always Sunny and you have your crazy, board with all the strings attached to it. Well, we have all these pieces, all these pictures. We have the SARs, we have the emails, we have the credit card statements. And so now what the Republican committee, what the oversight committee is trying to do, as best I can understand, is start kind of connecting all these dots to say, okay, if Hunter's named in this SAR and Hunter and Joe's finances were tied at this point and they have this in connection with this person, well, then it would be impossible to say that Joe Biden wasn't actively lobbying to get his son these contracts with foreign entities, with foreign business partners. And that's very illegal. Like, that's incredibly illegal. And so there's people, I know Mitt Romney's like, we don't need to waste our time investigating Hunter Biden. And there's even some like Twitter accounts that I follow that I find very reputable. They're like, the Republicans don't need to waste their time investigating this. They need to, investigate things that are important. But if Hunter Biden's not important at all. He's just some drug addict, but he's connected to the president now, and that was the vice president at the time. So this is an investigation now into Joe Biden. It's no longer hearsay about Hunter Biden so we can make fun of him for smoking cheese off the floor, right?
Yep.
So there could, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think it's something that they should pursue. And it seems like if I was a betting man, he's definitely connected in some way. I'm not saying I have the proof of that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out.
I don't understand why they're saying it's not a big deal, because Joe Biden wouldn't be the president if this stuff comes out to be true. And there's reports on him with prostitutes of, underage or any of that kind of stuff.
Hunter, they're saying in some of these the suspicious activity reports that were filed with the Treasury Department, the media reports said that Hunter Biden was financially connected to people that were big in international human trafficking.
Yeah, so exactly.
And that's not conspiracy. That's it's well known. We know he was bringing hookers across state lines. I'm not saying that, if you want to buy a hooker in Vegas, whatever, that's your prerogative. But as soon as you're importing girls across state lines, that becomes a federal crime. And if your dad's finances were helping pay for it, or his connections, then we get a little bit,
Jaymes,
hazy.
You ever see the videos that came out of him filming his crack? He's filming his crack.
Oh yeah,
being weighed, and then he tips it up, and there's him in a mirror. I'm like, how can people not be hey, if that was Don Jr., oh my God, it'd be on repeat right now on CNN still.
Feelings over facts. No one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares. Democrats don't care. They don't care about Hunter Biden. They don't care that he's a horrible person. They don't care that he does drugs or possibly he's a pedophile. They don't care.
No, he's on there.
Orange Man, because at the time, Orange Man bad, and that's all that mattered.
So
I still don't think that they care. I still think that the Democrats will totally be behind anybody that does anything that's morally abhorrent, and so long as it's not, they don't have the R behind their name.
Did you guys hear that? Chugga, 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 chugga. Choo, choo. Trump train coming through for 2024. What do you guys think of that news being dropped, 2 days ago?
I'll let Jaymes take this one first.
He'll run again. So let's start with DeSantis. If I'm DeSantis, I throw my hands in the air and say, you know what? I'm the governor of Florida. I don't want to deal with this. I'm going to be the governor of Florida. Because, as Ron DeSantis, I'm an intelligent person, and I know that Donald Trump will wreck anyone that gets in his way in the primaries, because he did it in 2016. Anybody that even remotely looked like they were going to get in his way, he destroyed them. I mean, Jeb Bush, Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz. I mean, one after another, they all fell. And to me, Ted Cruz and Rubio and Rand Paul were all very legitimate candidates that had a decent shot. Probably Rand would have been at the bottom of that list.
Unfortunately for you, right?
Yeah. Well, whatever. So he'll win. He'll win out of the primary probably. He'll go to the general and he'll lose again, because Republicans like picking people that lose. Yes. He's already lost to Joe Biden.
You guys, Lang, you're under that assumption too? He would lose against Joe Biden in a 2024 election?
Yes, because people hate him, and they will actively go out of their way to vote against him.
All right, yeah, you guys kind of have a point. I had a guy today at work come up to me, and he voted for Joe Biden, and he came up to me and he's like, what do you think of, Donald Trump running again? And I had to really think about it, because I don't know what I think yet, because it's as much as I hate saying it, he is divisive or whatever. And that sucks, because that's the narrative behind him, and that's what everybody believes. So they stick with that divisive narrative, especially this guy I talked to. And it sounds like what you said, James. Like, I think out of spite, he would vote for Biden again. And it's like there probably would be a lot of that.
Maybe. And
So
part of me, and this is kind of a question for Lane, part of me thinks that it doesn't, part of me feels like at this point in time, it doesn't matter what Republican they put up there. It doesn't matter because they're just going to, like I said, on, I think I had a post on Instagram a few weeks ago that Ron DeSantis was in line to be the next racist, bigoted, homophobe, horrible, awful person incarnation of Satan. Like, and that's me basically being like, it doesn't matter who they're going to put up there. The Democrats are going to paint him as the incarnation of Satan himself. I don't care who it is. That's just how they're going to paint him, and that may be how the world views him. I don't know.
So I want to respond to two of those points because I agree completely that if Trump gets to the general, he loses. Now, as far as him, if I'm DeSantis, what do I do? If I'm DeSantis, I just sit here and wait for a year and don't do anything. Because if you remember last time when Trump entered the race, he was coming in as the outsider. He was on fire. People were all about him, and he came in late. And he came in.
He's not. He is not. He is not on fire right now.
He's not. I mean, you see all of the caucus polls that were taken after the midterms. People, whether you agree or not, and I tend to agree with this, he is the reason that we don't have the Senate, and he's the reason that we don't have the House by 30 seats right now. And I'll explain why I think that in a second. But if I'm DeSantis,
I think I already know where you're
going
with that.
If I sit and wait for DeSantis for 8 months, if no Republican jumps in, who does Trump attack? Well, he has to attack the Democrats. That would be great. I would love for him to. He's not going to do that. He's already started attacking DeSantis and Glenn Youngkin, and that is not popular. And if you're going to win the primary, you're going to have to get a majority of the GOP voters to go with you. And I don't think that they are this time. Because if you look at, this has been explained well a couple times, but if you look at the country, there's about, I don't know, if you look at just Republicans, well, not even Republicans, people in general, there's about 20% of people that love Donald Trump. They think he's the end all be all. There's another 30% that are kind of indifferent. They're like Republicans. They're like, okay, he's fine. I don't love him. And then there's the other 50% of the country that hates him. Him.
Yep.
So even when he won in 2016, Republicans took this as like, okay, he is the new political strongman. No, he barely beat the worst candidate in political history, and he still lost the popular vote there. Yep. And then he gets wrecked in the 2008 midterms, 2018. He loses the 2020 election, and then he loses the 2022 midterms with all of his shitty endorsements, most of them. And so he's lost 3 elections in a row. Seriously, he's not on fire. People like DeSantis. DeSantis took a +2 red state and turned it into a +20 red state. And to jump on what Jaymes said about them trying to make him the devil, yeah, I think they will. I mean, they said Mitt Romney was going to put you back in change, right? So, and that's like the most milquetoast dude of all time. The problem is when they did it to Trump, the way his comments made the people that were undecided voters easy to believe that. DeSantis doesn't give that cannon fodder to people that actually are like, I don't know where to vote. People aren't as like suburban women. Everything Trump said is the antithesis of what suburban women, especially mothers, want to hear, right? DeSantis is not. He governs and then he takes on the culture, but he's not saying stupid things. He's not saying, and don't get me wrong, I love Trump when he's hilarious because he is hilarious.
Yeah, he's definitely
his comedic timing is second to none.
He's great.
He is kill or be killed though, because if he would have just during the 2020 election, if he would have been off TV and just sat in his basement the whole time, he would have won, I think.
You told me that, by the way. I asked you were in Korea, and I said, do you think Joe Biden's going to win? And everybody in America was like, Trump, 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 even in California. And you're like, yeah, I think Joe's going to win. I think Trump put his foot in his mouth on this one. And then Joe won. I don't know if you remember telling me that.
There's a lot of, yeah, I do. There's a lot of emotional voters. And when you hear things that Trump says, or when he's fixated on defending himself in the 2020 election, when people right now just want to be able to pay their fucking bills, his message isn't going to resonate with them anymore.
Yeah.
That's why all of his candidates lost in the midterm. Now, he's like, well, I endorsed, 130 out of 150 of my candidates won. I don't know what the numbers are, but it's some ratio like that. Yeah, they were all in like heavy red districts, and they were already going to win. And nobody associated the 14th congressional district representative in Texas with Donald Trump, but people did associate the Pennsylvania Republican nominee. They did associate the Nevada Republican nominee with Trump because they all come out and their whole basis was the 2020 election. Like if you look to Arizona, I actually think Carrie Lake and Blake Masters were phenomenally strong candidates. And I think if they would have disassociated with Trump, if they would have found a way to do that, they would have won.
I feel like a lot of like the Democrats like set up this election on a silver platter, and Republicans somehow just ended up fucking it all up. I really do. I do think that
the same incessant complaint that I have for fucking Republicans for like always.
Like you said, it was going to be a bloodbath that turned into a bloody nose. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing. In the places where it mattered, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Georgia, Wisconsin, these places where it's purple, where you have a large contingent of independent voters voting for a candidate that's closely associated with Trump, Republicans did bad. Nationally, the Republicans wiped the floor.
Yeah.
We won the popular vote by like 5 million votes.
The United States looks red.
And I think something like 130, I don't know what it is, however many, there's 218, 435 congressional districts, something like 80% of them moved red, including most of California, including most of New York. So more people voted Republican. People don't trust the Democrats, but they dislike Donald Trump more than they distrust the Democrats. That's all it was.
That makes sense.
Jaymes, you got anything to say on top of that? Because I got another topic I want to bring up, but I want to know your thoughts on this election and all that.
Well, on the election, man, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Georgia, dude, Nevada. I don't think Nevada was, but Maricopa County, man. There are a few districts as far as states goes. Dude, they need to figure their shit out. And the real problem is. The problem is not that they're late, not that they're counting bad, not that we think that it's the problem is at the root of that issue is people not trusting the fucking elections. If you can't trust the election, if you can't trust for who you're voting for, what is to stop you from throwing your hands in the air and either just giving up and not going back to the ballot box or going crazy? And like literally, I mean, I don't know, like, you know, storming the proverbial gates or whatever, like some unhinged person sitting in a white powder to Carrie Lake's office or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so man, Maricopa County and Pennsylvania, they got to figure that stuff out. And the only path that I see for them to figure that out is, and me and Denton talked about this a little bit the other day, is to do what Kansas does. Laura Kelly can be governor all she wants. And it doesn't matter because the Republicans have a supermajority in the House of Reps and in the Senate. And Laura Kelly can push something through, and the House of Reps can look at Laura and give her the bird. Yes. And then they can, if she vetoes something, the Senate can go, nope, we're not doing that. Republicans, the local Republicans in Pennsylvania and Arizona and Georgia have got to figure their fucking elections out. Make laws, pass laws. Make ballot harvesting illegal. Make mail-in ballots illegal. No one trusts any of that stuff. It's awful. And it screws up the count, and it makes everybody question everything that's going on. And that's a big problem. When you can't trust the elections, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, you automatically have a huge distrust of the other side forever.
Yes.
So I agree with that.
That's
even myself, like I was like, why? Like I'm gonna vote just because if I'm gonna talk the talk, I'm gonna walk the walk. But there's a big part of me that's like, why? I live in California. Why?
That's a problem, dude.
Bro, the Newport congressional district, you lost by like a few thousand votes, barely.
That's crazy.
And dude, Orange County is like pushed back red hard. So and Katie Porter is one of like their presidential favorites that people are talking about in the future. And some random business owner from Orange County almost beat her. I think it's, what's her name? Michelle Steele in the 45th, which is in Orange, which is also in Orange County. She won by like 15 points. Republicans are winning in Orange County. So for you, I just want to it does matter for you.
Okay. It took me like 30 minutes to vote because I looked at who appointed the judge, and if it said Gavin Newsom, I went against it. And it took me forever. Everybody else was like in and out, and I was in there for 30 minutes looking up every name, trying to figure out. I don't think people know who the fuck they're vote. I don't know. Maybe
sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, and to be honest, there was a ton of chicks with blue and pink hair, even in Orange County. A lot of gay guys.
You're gonna get this taken off. That's gonna get taken off of YouTube, by the way, now because you said that.
Anyways,
I'm serious.
Whatever.
There were a lot of people.
You know what?
There were a lot of
Real
people
quick.
there with alternative lifestyle choices.
Real quick.
Yes, thank you, James.
Ralph Corbett. Ralph, I love this guy. This guy always posts the best posts on Facebook. It's like he just got Facebook. And he had a post that I was like, dude, that is such a great point. And it says, say what you want about our generation. And it shows John Wayne, Andy Griffith, and another guy. But we weren't offended by bottles of pancake syrup. And it's just like, holy crap, it's so true. We're offended by bottles of pancake syrup.
We are?
That's so sad as a nation, to be offended by so much shit. And it just made me realize.
I'm gonna wear you out on this one.
It's a worn out topic.
I'm wear you out on it. Where am I going, Lane? Where am I going?
No. How about it? I'm gonna go grab a seltzer real quick while you
grab a seltzer.
Get
after it, James.
Seltzer. It's just more my favorite topic. It's just more marks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why
Conquer
grow victim to it? Why grow victim to it? I'm just gonna say I'm talking as if we're on Rumble.
It's all part of the New World Order WEF shit too. It's all tied together.
That's what I wanted to tie into, Lane. Okay,
let James go.
Yes. Okay, go, James.
Because I think this is his forte.
That stuff is stuff like that. It's not about the fact that they're offended. It's just, and I'm going to try and keep my emotions down because I get really wound up when it comes to the Marx stuff because I've done a lot of reading on it. And the thing is it's no one's offended. Stupid people are offended, or Marxists are offended on the behalf of someone else. So the thing that you have to remember about Marxism, its main goal is conquer and divide. That's why I had you. I'll point at the Chappelle skit later. But that's all it is. It's a conquer and divide. It's that comment that your friend made on Facebook. We weren't offended by syrup bottles. No one is. Yeah. There's a very small subset group of people that are extremely loud that are feigning to be offended in order to change and drive the culture a certain way. That's what that is.
I get
it.
Basic
tenet of Marxism.
It makes me really feel lucky to be a construction worker because none of us give a shit. But to be in a corporate world, I would be going crazy right now. If people were literally firing me over.
It's their push. Their push is to get their push is to infiltrate culture in such a way that there's an interview with a woman in the 1964. I think her name is Bella Dodd. And Bella Dodd was a communist. She immigrated to the United States. She defected against the communists because she saw what was going on. And in this Senate hearing that she talked about, I'm paraphrasing because she didn't say this precisely, but paraphrasing, she basically said that the communist goal is the first thing that they do is they infiltrate universities and schools because that's where their teachers, they can maximize their potential. They have influence over young, malleable people. That's the first step is universities and schools. And the step after that is to train those people, to kick them out, to go be activists. And then they go through school, they go through college, getting all this Marxist theory taught to them the entire time. And then they get kicked out into your HR departments. They get kicked out into your corporate world. And that's why HR stuff, big corporations are buying into this stuff because these people have gone to school their entire life being taught Marxist stuff. and then they went to the university and they were taught more of it, and now they're taking that into the workplace. And conservatives made a huge mistake like 8 years ago, 10 years ago, when they're like, oh, gender studies people are never going to make it in the real world. They're going to have to go get jobs.
Right.
Yeah, they got fucking jobs, and their jobs are now in HR, and they get to tell you what to do all day. So
touche.
Divide and conquer.
That guy that was on Joe Rogan like in 2014, that professor from Canada, he's a big name. Lang, you probably know who I'm talking about. Same with you, James.
Jordan Peterson?
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson.
I didn't even know who
I've heard of him before.
I didn't even know who I was listening to back in 2000.
Never heard of him.
Like back in 2014, I listened to him, and like I heard what he was talking about in schools, and even I was like, how is this relevant? They're not going to get jobs. They're too quote unquote sissy for the real world.
Yeah, they've got jobs now.
Sure enough, though, he was on the mark.
Yep.
He was on the mark. So, Lane, and James, the first podcast I talked to you on, and after COVID happened, and I realized it was BS, and it was whatever. Take me off the YouTube. It's all good. Once I realized this seemed like a plan, seemed like something to infiltrate society and change the way society works. I didn't know who was behind it. I didn't know what it was. And then all of a sudden, I've always believed in the Illuminati and all these crazy like elites somehow controlling a small group controlling the masses, kind of like pharaohs back in the Bible days. I didn't know who it was. And then I found Klaus Schwab, Yuval Noah Harari, the World Economic Forum. And once I looked into those guys, they wanted to change.
Oh, where'd Lane go?
There is.
Oh, there he is.
They wanted to change. They wanted to transhumanize, and literally their biggest like brag is to take God out of the situation and put transhumanism in it. Like there will no longer be a God in the sky or in the clouds. Like, and so anyways,
Yeah.
I looked into these guys, and I realized, oh, these are probably the guys doing all this shit. And then I listened to Louder with Crowder today, and I was very pleased to see you guys, say the New World Order and talk about the New World Order and how these guys are trying to do that, right, Lane? In their own way. They're like, are you ready for the New World Order?
Yeah, so I want to touch on a couple things because I don't disagree with you, and I do agree that Klaus Schwab is persona non grata number one. I guess it's kind of repetitive, but so as far as COVID, pandemic, no, I don't think it was planned. I think some dipshit people in Wuhan were operating with no safety conditions and let a virus out. And then I think people are like, oh shit, we can use this to further our agenda. God, Monty keeps calling me, dude. I feel like I've sent him a voicemail 4 times. But where was I? Yeah.
You said it wasn't.
I don't think it was a pandemic. I think this thing broke out. People are like, oh, we can use this for our agenda. People do it all the time, and they always say, never let a crisis go to waste, right?
Yes.
I don't. Yeah. So yes, I agree with you to a certain extent that they're like, oh, how can we manipulate this for our advantage? Speaking of the New World Order, that phrase has been used over. It's used. Yes. Just send him a message and tell him that I'm spitting facts.
Yo, I need your help real quick.
Let me call you back. I'm doing a podcast with Lane and a homie right now.
Hey, ask Lane who is Buddy down this weekend. Tell him to text me his name.
Can you text Monty?
Just tell him it's Marcus Brown.
Marcus Brown. Marcus Brown is his name.
It's important.
All right, thanks. Sorry I interrupted you.
Don't trip. Say what up to the world.
Sorry, Monty.
Say what up to the world, dog.
What up, Mother Earth?
We doing good. I'll hit you up later.
Let's go Cowboys.
All right. Screw the Cowboys, please.
Great dude.
I want to rebuttal after this, but keep going, Lane. It's not. It wasn't a plan.
No, it's fine. Yeah, because first of all, if you've ever been to China, you would understand why I know this for a fact, dude.
Okay.
You can rebuttal all you want. I live there. There is not OSHA doesn't exist.
Okay.
It's not a thing. They're morons.
It come from
But
that market though. It came from a lab.
no, it came from a lab. Yes, it came from a lab. Of course
Okay.
it did. But the term New World Order has been used a lot, and it's meant many different things. It just means the way the world is ordered, the way the world is hierarchy. So, like after 1990, when the Berlin Wall fell and George Bush became president, he said, now is the time for a new world order. What he means then is not nefarious. He means that now it's this dream that history is over, that democracy will rule the world, and American democracy will be the de facto way of life for everybody across the planet. Stupid idea, but it wasn't necessarily nefarious. These people, what I would kind of piggyback off what Jaymes said, you look at the World Economic Forum, people like Klaus Schwab, you look at Bill Gates, you look at these multinational kind of, entities. That's the people that want to rule the world. They want it to be a corporate world government.
The
They make
pharaohs.
decisions for you. Yeah, so they can turn you into the ultimate consumer. The person that said this best was the prime minister that just got elected in Italy. She roasted these fuckers.
She
and it
did.
was awesome. And that's what they want to do. They want to make you the ultimate consumer where they can control you. They can attach you to your TV. You have to come to them for help. This is just communism in another form.
Yes.
Because it concentrates the power in the elites that know better than you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all for their benefit. Because the real idea of communism is essentially, eventually you won't need a government. But we never make it.
Yeah,
to that
it's
step
utopia.
because that's not really the goal. The goal is, well, just give me all the power and then I'll make the perfect world. That's what it is. And this is just another form of that. And communism was just another form of whatever came before it, but it's the same selfish instinct to think that I know better than everybody. You should give me power so I can rule over you. That's what I think these people are doing. I mean, they say it. I don't think they're doing it. They say it.
Yeah.
So it's not a conspiracy when they say, okay, yes, we've had many world orders, but now they want to make this, because right now we exist in what we would call like an anarchic world, which means that there's no governing body that sits over national governments. So the biggest, most powerful body is the nation state, like the United States or China or Russia or England, right? They have sovereignty over themselves, especially your most powerful nations. That's how the world exists. That's how the world has always existed forever. They want to change that and make it so there's this conglomerate of world companies that control your consuming habits, they control your spending habits, they control your living habits, so they can empower themselves. That's all it is.
Yep.
It's not going to work because it's unfeasible, and nationalism takes over eventually. I just don't think it'll work. You'd have to get every single major government to sign on to it, and I think inherently there's too much selfishness in the world for a one world order to ever work. So I think they are going to cause major destruction, and I think they are the ones that are manipulating these little foot soldiers in the woke brigade. They're the ones because
Justin Trudeau. All these fuckers.
Yes, these fuckers.
Justin Trudeau,
And
Kimberly Crenshaw.
Young global leaders.
Yes. Because
Okay.
they turn these little idiots into foot soldiers so they can do their bit. The people that are offended by the syrup bottle don't know why they're offended by the syrup bottle. Someone told them to be offended. And the person that told them to be offended isn't actually offended.
The Washington football team. Yeah. So can I rebuttal on what you said, Lane? How you said it wasn't a pandemic or whatever.
Dog. Give
Okay.
it try.
Here's
Give
my
the
best
college
try. Here's the college try. Here's the JUCO try right here. So
go Hutch, go Dragons.
Hell yeah. So COVID happened when? At the very end of Donald Trump's presidency, kind of, or leading into a huge
It was 19,
election.
wasn't it?
Yeah, a huge election.
It started in October of 2019. That's when it started.
In China.
So you have a huge election coming up in 2020, massive. Trump's literally crushed it. His economy is through the roof. First president in like a long ass time to not go to war. Calm down, fucking little guy in North Korea. Everybody's bank accounts were looking pretty good. Gas was like $2, whatever. Crushing it. There was no way the Dems were going to win that election. There was no way in hell that they were going to win. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this virus somehow comes out of China. And I agree with you in the sense of like it's not good for China when it comes to trade for something like this to happen, but I don't know how deep this shit goes or whatever. But so anyways, this breaks out, and then all of a sudden the media runs like hell with it. people are terrified of it, and it divides everybody. And basically, now the media has full control of the narrative, and they're saying Donald Trump is handling this terribly. The death count is on a freaking ticker every day, and people are freaked the fuck out, and they say he sucked. But we're here to save the day. The Democrats will take it seriously. We will mask up. We will stand 6 feet away from each other. Like, Republicans are more on the leaning side of, hey, pull up by a bootstraps. We got this. Democrats are more like, Papa government, what do we do? So this happens, and it creates a huge problem for the Republicans in this election. And it creates mail-in ballots. It creates drop boxes. It creates all this safety shit that they supposedly talk about for these elections. And guess what? Now elections are kind of fucked because the protocol that started with 2020. So that's why I think that was a plan. And then now that they got their way in this whole vote, now let's go back to the World Economic Forum. Yuval Noah Harari, I watched tons of videos on this guy, and he says
he's a douchebag.
He is a D-bag, and he says, we will have surveillance underneath the skin. What comes out? This new RNA vaccine that is brand new to all vaccines. And so what does it do? It attaches, I don't know, it attaches itself to your DNA. It's some crazy shit. I don't understand how it works. Unless you get the Johnson & Johnson, you're good. But so this RNA vaccine comes out, and then you got the World Economic Forum saying, they're leading the brigade. They got their hands in BlackRock. They got their hands in a whole bunch of people that are in the government right now, especially Joe Biden, Justin Trudeau. I don't know how deep into Xi Jinping, because that guy, Russia or Xi Jinping, I don't know how much they cooperate with those dumbasses at the World Economic Forum. But basically, and now they're pulling out this, hey, the new world order. That's why I think COVID was a plan, if I were to break it down.
Well, so let me just ask you a logistical question then. So who do you think, whose plan was it? Who is the mastermind here?
That's a great question. And I think it's probably Klaus Schwab's boss or whatever. So I don't know. And hear me out with a grain of salt. This is my conspiracy. This is legit conspiracy.
Right. No,
I've looked into the Illuminati, this and the 666, all these devil marking things with popular celebrities for a long time. I don't know who the fuck's running those motherfuckers, but it seems like there's a high up, and I do believe the World Economic Forum is definitely a very top pinnacle of these kind of people. And so I would say you saw Fauci warning of a virus that was coming out. You saw all these people, and they were like, how are we going to get them to take a vaccine? Well, we need basically a tragic pandemic.
Yeah, the only reason I would push back on this is because the way it started is, for these people to start it in China, they'd have to have ultimate cooperation with the government in China. And then what would China's goal be at the start of this? To be like, oh shit, there's this new virus. We gotta, take over, and then whatever. That's not how it started. You start seeing reports coming out of China in late 2019. And I remember I was reading some Korean, Twitter basically, and it's saying Wuhan Perium, which means Wuhan pneumonia. And they're like, this is strange. Well, what the Chinese government didn't jump on it and say, oh yeah, this is happening, you need to lock down. No, the Chinese government tried to shove that shit down for as long as they could. They lied about it existing forever, hoping that it wouldn't get out.
Didn't they kill the scientists that released it, knowledge of it?
No, there was a doctor in Wuhan that's started reporting. She's like, yo, there's a lot of people with fucked up respiratory symptoms coming to our hospital. There's something going on here. And then she got disappeared, right? And that happened to all the doctors that were trying to speak out about it. So if your goal is to say there's this new crazy scary thing, you take advantage of it when it happens. You don't try to suppress it and hide it from the world. Because what this did is China was going like this, man. All these countries were increasing trade with them. They wanted to be part of the Chinese sphere of influence. They're like, China's the next big market. This has crushed China's reputation in the world. They have 4 friends left. They have the Russians, they have the North Koreans, they have some other partners in Central
Canada.
Asia. Well, yeah, actually, probably.
You make a good point.
Xi Jinping.
You make a good point.
I just don't see this doesn't actually. And then how are they planning to like bring it to China? And then, it'll just show up in Italy where Chinese workers. So people aren't that smart. What people do is they take opportunities and they say, oh shit, I want this thing. How can I use what's happening to achieve the thing that I want? So I think
I do give these people a lot of credit. I do give them a lot of credit if for somebody to plan something and pull it off like that. That's
and that's why I have a hard time with conspiracies. James? Oh, I think it's very I try and go by Occam's razor, which is the simplest solution possible. I think this is China's Chernobyl. I think Chernobyl in the 80s, I think it was a fantastic example of you get what you pay for. Yes. And I think this is the same thing. I think you get what you pay for. You don't have OSHA, you don't have safety standards. Oh no, I dropped this vial on my hand and I forgot to wash my hands, and then I went outside and I shook hands with my best friend, and son of a bitch, wouldn't you know it, I sneezed on somebody else, and now there's a pandemic. For me, it's simple. I think it's you get what you pay for with communist governments.
Anyone, like it's Chernobyl and Wuhan. They're in communist authoritarian dictatorships. What's the problem there? You have a problem. Connection. You can't tell the person that's in charge there's a problem because it's your ass.
That's right. Yep.
So it's not surprising to me that this happened at all. It seems highly likely that it seems impossible that this is the first time it's happened, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and there was a lot of stuff. If you watch the HBO show, you kind of have to take that all with a grain of salt because of the creative liberties. But the big reason that the show portrayed anyway, the big reason that Chernobyl failed was because I cannot remember the specific names of it, but basically it was a preventable problem if they had redacted the information from the people running the power plants. It was a very, very avoidable issue. And they made it non-avoidable by redacting the information that was basically would have spared hundreds of thousands of lives.
So with the world...
and kept people from getting radiation poisoning.
That was a great HBO TV series.
That miniseries,
it was phenomenal.
It's so good.
When the dudes are all like the construction guys, they're the miners. I love those guys. When they're like, it's fucking hot in these tunnels underneath this.
They just started working naked.
And he's like, we need fans. And he's like, no, you ain't getting anything. And then they show up. Their wieners are all hanging out. It's hilarious. Yep. But dude, and those poor bastards,
I have to go let my dog in.
That's fine. So Lane and James, I know you're still listening, but okay, so now we're all caught up. Now we're in 2022, and now this video that just came out on YouTube of what was it exactly? It was basically like the World Economic Forum came together like 2 nights ago or something. And
no, it wasn't the World Economic Forum. It was I can look it up. It was like New World Government or something like that.
Didn't they come together on the same place where the 10 Commandments were? Like they came to that same area.
Mount Sinai?
Yeah. Yeah, they went there to have this meeting. See, that's
the thing about some of these elites, man. They're super into like symbology and stuff.
Rituals.
And part of me thinks that they just do it just to troll people.
Oh, they're good. They're doing good at that. They're trolling my ass.
Dude, they're watching this Bill Gates is watching this podcast going,
with his fucking with his little beer belly. God, I hate that guy so much, dude. I hope Elon just comes and takes him out, dude.
I love seeing him get a pie thrown in his face 2 times. That's my favorite video. Do you guys remember this?
The World Government Summit.
Okay. So what do you see? Okay, so we're in 2022. My thing is this needs to be addressed by my next president. These people need to be addressed by my next president. If they don't address it, I'm not voting for them because I want to see somebody point it out. We're not following this World Economic Forum. We're not going with this narrative. This is a stupid narrative. I want them to make fun of it and I want them to bash it and they will have my vote. Because everybody right now in office is in cahoots with those guys. And you could tell just by how high not just gas, but housing BlackRock came through and just bought the shit out of houses.
Yeah, those people suck ass too.
And they're a big component of the World Economic Forum. Like everybody in the high ups of BlackRock is definitely sitting at a nice seat at those forums.
Well, Vanguard's even bigger than BlackRock, but they don't have a scary name, so no one ever talks about them.
Really?
Yeah. It's a
What's
bigger
Vanguard?
It's the same
A
as
hedge fund?
BlackRock.
Okay.
It's a mutual fund or whatever, and they're even bigger than BlackRock. But BlackRock just sounds scary, so people
kind of does.
I was informed by BlackRock from Louder back, and then I looked into it from him, and then I was like, holy crap, these guys are all about the WF.
I think I heard about it through Timcast.
I need to listen to Timcast. Everybody's talking about his name's Tim Pool, right? Technically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave was on there today.
Oh, dude, Dave's the man.
Dave Landau. Oh,
yeah.
dude, the last time I watched Tim Pool, they did the members podcast afterwards with Landau and the other comedian. I can't remember his name. Bro, I haven't laughed that hard in forever because they were like relentlessly made fun of Hunter Biden, and it was hilarious. It was like some of the most twisted shit ever too. It was hysterical. It was so funny. I was like on the mower listening to it in my podcast, laughing my ass off, and then like inhaling like huge clumps of dust and then coughing.
I listened to this podcast called Your Mom's House. Have you guys ever listened to that? Mm-hmm. It's with Tom Segura. Do you guys know who that is?
Oh, you showed me when I watched a clip with him and Brett's he's another comedian, but I saw a reel of them on YouTube, the one where Brett brought Kool-Aid first thing in the morning.
Oh, Bert, yeah. Two bears, one cave.
That's so much sugar.
That dude drinks a gallon of Kool-Aid a day.
That is so not good for you.
Yeah, no, and he drinks a ton of Tito's. A ton of Tito's. He's a walking specimen for sure.
Yeah, he's silly.
He's the machine. I don't know about you guys. I've noticed that like all podcasts that I listen to, because I enjoy podcasts. I have for the last 10 years. That's why I made one. But what made me make one is I was like, dude, I'm so tired of hearing about stand-up. I don't know about you guys, but when I played Joe Rogan today, and it was Steve-O from Jackass, and I thought it was going to be a lit podcast, and they went off for 45 minutes about stand-up. And I don't know about you, but there's only like 1,000 people doing stand-up, so there's not much ability to it. And not to talk shit, but whatever I'm going to, it's what made me start a podcast. I was like, if these fucking assholes, if I'm listening to an hour of stand-up of oh man, I bombed at the Detroit one time, and I'm just like, dude, I can't. I've heard it so many times, but
yeah.
Where I'm going with that. But yeah, Your Mom's House is hilarious though. Like they have like people on, like he has a segment called Funny or Hilarious, and it's like like some of them are like dudes falling off buildings. Anyways, sorry, maybe I shouldn't talk about it, but it's like a dude, he's a mechanic, and he's in the back going like this, like, come on, come back, and the guy crushes him, and he's like, yeah, like,
wow.
He just brings up the gnarliest videos. But Your Mom's House, listen to those guys if you're into that. But Tom Segura is hilarious. But Lane,
funny.
Where do you see this heading with the whole? Do you think the WEF will actually have a legitimate takeover, possibly?
No.
Okay.
No, no.
Give me the reasons why it won't work.
So my reason is because in America, it's very hard to understand this because we are a different experiment than any country that's ever existed before. Every other country in the world is so intrinsically tied to their traditions and their history and their race that is their tribe. That is first and foremost. And that will come from, that is why the Chinese rejuvenation dream is to sinosphere the entire world, because they think the Chinese system works the best. The Russians think the Russian system works the best. That is so much deeper ingrained into the human psyche than money, than technology, than anything. Nationalism will beat liberalism every time, and it will sure as hell beat corporatism. You've seen you see the pushback in places like Brazil and Italy, and those are very insignificant countries. These places like China are willing to play along as long as it suits their own goals. But China's not going to subvert themselves. The Chinese are not going to subvert themselves to the whims of some dipshit white person from Europe. Are you fucking kidding me? No. Xi Jinping looks at him and thinks he's superior to him. That's the way it works. That's the way history worked forever until America came around. And America has a great idea, and we have a foundation in our Constitution that offers a greater possibility than that kind of tribalism. We're not really living up to it now, but we have that. No. The point is, these people aren't going to be able to change hundreds of thousands of years of 6,000 years of human, not evolution. Sorry for all the half of listeners. I don't want to. But it's just not going to happen. They might make some strides, but there's going to be a real problem, and those fuckers don't have a military. Now, if they start arming themselves, okay, then we should probably look into it a little bit. But no, I think they're going to cause major problems.
True.
They're going to wreak destruction on third world countries around the world where they're putting their hands. Like, where did they do it last time? It was Sri Lanka. They already ruined the Sri Lankan economy. They're trying to ruin the Indonesian economy.
Yeah.
So they will cause problems and they will make the world worse. But at the end of the day, I don't think a one world government can exist. I don't think it's feasible. I just don't think it's going to happen. That's my opinion on it.
No, that's
James
a touche.
What?
I said you might have a different take or thing. I don't know,
but no, I think what you said makes a lot of sense. But I think my approach is different because my lens is different, and I think my lens is the one of cultural Marxism. I told Denton the other day, and I'll tell everybody this: I will vote for a fucking potato if the potato is ardently against any of the critical theories and is anti-woke, and I'm dead serious about that.
Yeah.
If I had my choice between a potato that can speak and say that it's against woke principles or a Democrat, I'll vote for the potato. I legitimately mean that. And that is one of the reasons that I do, in fact, like DeSantis, because of his Don't Say Gay bill, which is all of 7 pages long, and you can read in there. If you can read, it doesn't say Don't Say Gay anywhere. It just says that you can't have private conversations with children's sexuality without their parents' knowledge. Oh my God, what a concept.
The Puritans are back.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Puritans are back and they're on the left. Cultural Puritans.
Yes, isn't that fucking ironic, dude?
Yes. Yeah, so I think that's through my lens, but I think ultimately they'll lose. I think it's going to be, we've got a really rough ride coming up. I think that they're going to lose for a few reasons. I think I've stated them before, but one of the main reasons is the internet. Good luck putting that genie back in the bottle.
Yeah.
Yep.
The free flow of information.
Great point.
Boy, good luck. Because that's the genius behind Louder with Crowder and Tim Pool is they both went out and they both have their own websites. So both of they can get kicked off of YouTube all the live long day, but YouTube can't kick them off the internet.
No.
You know? So that's huge. And the simple fact is, I think they're losing culture. I think that the left is losing culture, and they just haven't realized it yet. And I don't think a lot of people on the right have realized it yet. But for this whole thing to stay together and not balkanize, which is a concern of mine.
Yeah, me too.
Got to get the elections figured out, man. Because if we don't, I think it's going to end up being balkanization. Looks really weird. It's hard to map out how it would work, but you can kind of see how some of the cultural battle lines are being drawn, and a lot of it's going to come down to the people that are woke and anti-woke, and the people that are for abortions and not for abortions, and the people that are for guns and not guns. I think those are the 3 big things, and that's all, to me, when I look at that, it all looks like rural/suburban versus big city urban areas.
Which is very infeasible when you think about it geographically.
It is because I mean, I look at where I live in Kansas City. It's red from here to all the way to Denver.
Yeah, and all the way down to Dallas, where I'm at.
And all the way
is
down to Dallas.
It's a little blue in the center of Dallas, and then as soon as you get out of Dallas County, it's bright red everywhere.
Yeah. So geographically, it would look really weird if that were to happen. But I just don't.
Why
know
is it when
features.
people get into a city that they become Democrat? Like,
I would
do you
say
guys
it's the
have a
opposite.
theory behind that?
I'd say Democrats flock to cities because you have to be much less independent to live in a place like this. You probably don't have a family if you live in a city. Things that make you inherently conservative are not really, you don't need those things to live in a city because the government does a lot more for you.
You don't need to be self-sustaining in a city.
Yes. Yeah.
Eddie Bravo said it best. He's like, when I was a young kid, I said, fuck being a Republican. They won't let you go to strip clubs. They won't let you go. He's like, but now that I'm older and I'm a dad, I'm like, oh, I get it. Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, that's the
Well,
best.
it's like, what's the saying? If you're young and a conservative, you don't have a heart. But if you're old and liberal, you don't have a brain.
That's pretty good.
I really like that. That's fun.
That is.
But I do think like just on that note, I think it's really important. And we don't all have the same political ideology, but I think we all vote relatively the same. I would assume
conservative.
Yeah, for the most part.
I mean, I don't have a choice. Who am I going to vote for as far as the libertarian goes? Because all we do is argue with each other.
Well, it's a very incoherent ideology currently. There's a lot of schools of thought there.
Some of it just is baffling.
My point being, I think, and if you get out into the real world, you start realizing that Twitter's not the real world and Instagram's not the real world. And most people that vote Democrat, you can actually have pretty good conversations with. And it's very, I think, important for people on our side to not start hating the other side, because that's what they've done to us for so long. Is they're like, we have assumed forever that liberals are stupid, and liberals assume that we're evil. We cannot turn that around, because you're not going to convince. If you think someone's evil, you don't want to talk to them. You want to destroy them. The United States is the last best hope for the world to be a successful place. And I don't think the U.S. is dead. I think the culture is changing, but I also think it's important for us to not start being hateful to regular people that happen to vote differently. There are people that deserve scorn. There are. But that's not your average person that votes for a Democratic candidate.
No.
That's a good point, man.
They're good people too. I have beers with them all the time, and it's great. And we do 90% of the things like, oh yeah, that's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And for the most part, to go back to a Christian foundation or whatever, kill them with kindness. I don't know, the whole treat your neighbor as thyself. It's something I'm working on now, because I've felt myself in the last 2, 3, 4 years shift from this. Well, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like that's where my mind goes, and I have to refrain from that and kind of go back to the whole treat thy neighbor as thyself thing.
Yeah.
And that's the only way, because you're not going to win an argument with people about this. They're just going to have their argument, and it's just going to go back and forth. Jaymes, I have a video. You want me to try to share that real quick?
Well, I want to cap off your point there that you were making. I was talking to a friend of mine a while back about, the red pill versus the blue pill or whatever. And to be myself and be a nerd, if you take the red pill to what it is in the Matrix, Neo's given a choice, which is what makes him a great character. He's given a choice. You can take the red pill, and you can see everything. For the first time, you get to see everything that is hidden beyond the veil. You have no idea what's coming up. You have no idea what that's going to look like, which is what makes Neo a great character, because he's willing to take that dive into the massive unknown. Or you can take the blue pill and stay as you are. And I proposed a question to my friend, and I was like, how do we get people to take the red pill? And she was like, I don't think that you do. She was like, Neo didn't run around the Matrix in the movies. And I know this is just very anecdotal, but he didn't run around the movies trying to red pill every person that he ran into. He took the red pill for himself, and then he fought the fight the way that he thought that it needed to be done. He didn't try and red pill everybody, and he was if he ran into somebody, it's not like he was like, yo, like, you're living in the Matrix, man. It was he fought his own fight. And I think that's really important to fight your own fight, meaning if you can get in and have a nice conversation with somebody and maybe sort of bring that stuff up in a nice way, do it. But you don't have to. You're not going to convert all the blue pills of the world. You're just not. People that watch CNN and MSNBC and think that Elon Musk is the new bad guy, you're not going to convert him, man. And most likely you might not convert anybody, but you can gain trust in others by being nice to them and by not being an asshole, and not having your political ideology be at the forefront of who you are.
Thank you.
Because it doesn't need to be at the forefront of who you are. It's just a thing, man. It's just a thing. Like, I think about liberty, and I think about my kids, and I think a lot of politicos and maybe conservatives tend to think that liberty is that it's an inherent value or an inherent yearning in mankind. And I don't think that at all. I think that an inherent yearning is mankind, especially for Andrew and myself, is I need to feed my kids. I need a house. I think those are inherent yearnings, and liberty is a value that you teach.
Yeah.
If I didn't have my kids, I would have quit my job today.
It's one of those days, huh?
It was one of those days. It really was.
Yeah.
So
that was a
touche.
Longer rant than I intended.
I've never really thought about that. That's great.
I like that too. Yeah, the whole red pill, blue pill, Neo thing. Yeah, you're in the Matrix. No, I like it. Jaymes, you want me to play the video real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, let me see if I can get this shared thing to work. Hopefully it doesn't. Let's see. Can you guys see that?
I can see that, yes.
Time to put it away.
Okay.
We're all inverted now. All our faces look backwards.
Because I was inverted.
Can you see this video though, Lane? Can you see the...
I see you.
You don't... Oh, okay, so you still see Skype. Hold on. Skype has this thing where it's... It can... Here we go. Now you can see that. I'm guessing. All right, here you go. Jaymes wanted me to play this for you guys.
The whites are they're like newborn babies. Just woke up. Everything white people are mad about, we've been on that. Man, I can't feed my family. Black people like, we've been on that. Man, we the government. We've been on that. Man, we should dismantle the FBI. Word to Martin Luther King, bro. We've been on that.
So Dave is making a very interesting point there, and it's a point that I tried to make a few months back to a friend of mine. And that is, if you think back to 2016, and I still believe this to this day, that the populace, not cultural, the populace left and the populace right have much more in common with each other if they will, for 5 seconds, stop pointing their fucking guns at each other. Because I promise you, I have worked in downtown Baltimore. I've worked in downtown St. Louis. I've worked in Stockton, California, which is like one of the worst places I've ever been.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the Diaz is from.
And I've also worked in the frickin' hillbilliest hillbilly of that Appalachians in Eastern Kentucky and West Virginia. And the people that live in the hood that are poor are living and functioning on the same level as the people that live in the Appalachian. They have way more in common with each other if they'll just stop pointing their guns at each other. Because they're both poor, and it's gigantic billionaire corporations that are shoving them, that are not shoving, not
pushing them in that corner.
But they're pushing them in that corner of, you need to take this pharmaceutical is going to heal you. here's your government aid because you're broke, you have no money. Those people have a lot more in common with each other than anyone is willing to, I don't know, see, I guess. That's just, I thought he made that point in a very funny way, but I think that the message was missed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Living in California for the last 10, 11 years, I've woken up to the thoughts of libertarians, Democrats a lot more because I'm in a city. Like it's more relatable to kind of understand the struggle that they're talking about. Because in rural Kansas, I didn't really get it at all. All I saw was my homies at school, played football, played basketball. I just did my thing, and then now I have a broader understanding of it. Me and Lane were talking about on the last podcast that we clearly didn't go to the moon, but
Oh jeez.
but anyways, we were talking about some people who live in small towns can get a little closed-minded to the actual big world that's around them.
Sure. But that's not a symptom of small town America. It's not limited to that. That's that
true.
Same closed-mindedness can exist in a
city. Oh, in an apartment.
And that same closed-mindedness can exist in the hills of Appalachia. And I'm telling you, there are some poor motherfuckers in Appalachia. I'm telling you, dude. Like, I've been uncomfortable in a lot of workplaces just because of the environment that I've been in. We do sites and cell phone towers, so we see the nitty gritty. I'm not doing, when I get sites in Kansas City, I get sites in I've got sites in Shawnee, and I've got sites in the nasty downtown part. But if somebody in Appalachia got a hair and wanted to kill me and bury me in the woods, nobody's finding me. Nobody.
Did you guys hear that?
Guaranteed.
Did you guys hear that story about the Talladega Forest about a month ago?
No.
So this college boyfriend and girlfriend were driving.
I did hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, they were driving through the Talladega Forest, and there was a girl on the side of the road that her car was broke down. So the boyfriend pulls over, gets out, goes to help her. She pulls a gun on him, and the guy had a gun as well, pulls it on her. She shoots and kills him. And the girlfriend's just standing there like, what the hell? And then but the girl who did shoot the boyfriend got shot, and she's on the ground, and a girl out of the woods comes out and checks on that girl. And the girlfriend calls the cops come, they see the girl shot on the ground, they see the boyfriend dead. They're like, what's going on? And the girl's in a frantic, and she's like, somebody just ran out of the woods and basically was with this girl that shot my boyfriend. And so they go searching through the woods. They come across this campground. These like 3 cops or 2 cops, like a 5-year-old kid comes out with a shotgun pointed at the cop. Cause I think the cops drew like they came across this camp, a couple people, they drew their guns, and it was on the mom and this little boy, 5-year-old with a shotgun. It's like some crazy Hills of Ice shit. Lane, you read up on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as familiar with it as you are, but yeah, I have heard.
I 100% have no problem believing that.
That's crazy. Like you said, like in the Appalachian, is that where you said you were?
Yeah.
Is that like super rural? Like just
it's the Appalachian. So it's the Appalachian Trail kind of sort of area, but there's a part of eastern Kentucky and basically all of Virginia where it's just, I mean, like have you ever heard the expression "back in the holler"?
Yeah.
Well, that's where Deliverance
back
is, right?
Yeah, that's back in the holler, bro. Yeah, it's different out there. My friend, I have a friend I used to work with in Texas. He's his name is Alan Gilbert, and he's half black and half white. So, and he's got a bunch of tattoos on his arms. I don't know if he's fully sleeved up yet, but he's got some pretty sweet tattoos. But anyway, so because he's half black and half white, he looks brown. He looks kind of like a Mexican. And he was working in East Kentucky one time, and he stopped in the gas station just to get diesel fuel, fuel up the mower, get some dip, and move on down the road. And he said he went inside, and there were these two big old boys that were inside the gas station. And like, I guess it's like, he made it sound like it was like a movie. Like, they had the overalls on and all that stuff. And he went in to go pay for his chew. And one of the guys walked up beside him, and another guy walked up to the other side of him. One guy looked at him and goes, "What are you doing in here, boy?" And Alan goes, "Leaving." he took off out the door.
That's so nuts that there's still places like that in America.
It gets pretty sketchy out there in the mountains, man. They're a different breed out there.
A part of me thinks Hollywood made it up to keep people away from like rural areas, but like when you hear that kind of stuff, it's like, wait a second.
That's like the
real?
extreme of the extreme, dude. I had a lot of sites in East Kentucky, and most people were pretty normal and just had crazy Eastern Kentucky accents where you couldn't hardly understand them.
Well, that's where JD Vance is from, right? Like, he's from Appalachia, isn't he?
Who's JD Vance?
He just got elected senator in Ohio. He wrote that book, Hillbilly Elegy.
I need to watch that movie.
Hillbillyology or something.
Good.
Yeah, and then he ended up like making it. I think he's from Appalachia, and then he ended up making it to Yale. Went to Yale Law.
Wow,
and then everyone loved him, and then he kind of came out a little conservative, and now they rated the movie terribly.
Now he's the worst person ever.
Yeah, but to your point, he's very populist, and he's more like not a socialist, obviously, but populist, because well, it makes sense. Like, someone with that kind of background is like, dude, my people are getting fucked all the time.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So those places are really poor. There's a lot of areas in the Appalachians and East Kentucky, very, very poor, not doing well. So it makes sense.
You know, to switch full gears, I know all three of us have watched the new Game of Thrones House of Dragons. What's your guys' take on that last episode?
Bro, Vagar had herself a little snack.
Yeah.
She was hungry. Just freaking munched that kid, and Arax made it look tiny. Yeah, so cool.
That was pretty incredible. Like,
it's a great show, man.
It's a great show. It sucks we got a year to wait, but like.
No, 2.
2?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm totally.
It's probably because George R.R. Martin is finishing up freaking the Song of Ice and Fire finally.
Was that another Game of Thrones book?
Well, the Game of Thrones, I think it's up to season 5 or 6. I'm not sure exactly, but I think up to season 5 or 6. And if you ever go back and rewatch it, you'll notice there's a really big tonal shift in the show after season 5. That's because after season 5, they ran out of George R.R. Martin's material because he has not finished the last book still. And so from season 5 to 8, they literally just made shit up. Like, they were still consulting with him and talking with him about stuff, but they were completely out of source material.
Is his hands in the new House of Dragons?
I think he's directly.
He wrote the
book, House of Dragon.
Oh, so that's why it's so fire.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if after season 5, when they ran out of source material, I don't know if he kind of did this and was like, you guys do what you want, because outside of the tonal shift, a lot of characters started doing stuff that didn't make any sense. Like, the end.
That ending was bad. Even Lane
with Daenerys just irritates the living shit out of me. Like, dude, like, this girl has never been crazy the entire show. She's always been pretty calculating and pretty smart, and she's been a liberator the whole freaking time.
Yeah,
literally freed the Unsullied, freed the slaves in Marine. Literally, that's what she spent the entire series doing. And then she just, on a whim, she's like, you know what? I'm going to burn 1.5 million people alive. Made no sense at all. I was really disappointed with that because I really liked her as a character.
Yeah. That's
outside of just being super cool.
I just don't understand how you make the Night King literally probably the coolest villain in the history. I know a lot of people didn't like that because they like the political intrigue a little. I love that shit, dude. And he was so fucking badass. And I was like, oh, it's going to come down to like him and Jon Snow, and you're going to learn the lineage of the Night King. And Jon's going to like finally pull it out. But they're like, no, we need to subvert expectations. I was like, no, I don't want my fucking expectations subverted. I want to see
Meet my expectations.
I want to see the clear protagonist that was set up from day one do protagonist shit at the end against the villain that is like the most badass villain of all time. If they even killed each other, I wouldn't have cared. But I just needed to see that showdown. And they're like, nah, we're going to have Arya kill him by pulling off the lamest trick of all time. You're telling me the dude that killed a dragon with a spear from like 400 yards away can't see a knife, and he looked at it. They had him look at it, and he's like, well, fuck it. I guess I'm dead. Oh, my God, dude.
Everything leading up to that was super sick, though. Like, that battle was tight.
I agree with you. The climax should have been between the Night King and Jon, or the Night King and Daenerys, you know, the prince that was promised. And I think Missandei said in that last season that the prince was promised that noun wasn't male or female, so it could have been applicable to either Daenerys or Jon. And so it could have been both of them, or Georges, Jon, or something. But
now that's the only thing about watching House of Dragon. They keep alluding to the prince or they keep alluding to this, and they're like, and I'm like, yeah, a Targaryen does need to sit on the throne, and it was fucking Jon, and he was there, so just have him do it. Like,
why did they not pay off? They didn't do anything with the fact that he was Aegon Targaryen. They didn't pay that off in any way.
No.
Didn't you like how
they just told us? They're like, he's Aegon Targaryen, BT dubs. And it's like, oh, holy fuck, like he's next in line. And then like you go on throughout the season, it's like, what are they gonna do with this? Like, is Daenerys gonna go wander off with Drogon? What's gonna happen? And they're just like, nah, he'll stab Daenerys.
Who ends up being the king? Was it the guy in the wheelchair?
Fucking Bran.
The guy in the wheelchair. Bran. He
Tyrion's
spent the entire
Tyrion's
battle
line
with the Night King not doing anything.
Tyrion's line is, who has a better story than Bran the Broken? Literally every fucking character in that
Literally everyone. Sansa, for God's sake.
Dude, if you look at the series, the very first image is that, like, kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, that symbolic circle thing in the snow, right? That keeps showing up over and over north of the wall. And that's the first scene of the whole show. You're like, oh, you're finally going to learn what this is. Nah,
nope.
Never.
Nope. Not paying that off either.
And when they're talking about Dany's dragon getting killed, and the showrunners are like, oh, I guess Dany just kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
Yeah.
They did drop the ball on so many things. Now that you guys are breaking that down.
Oh, dude, I'm such a nerd, and I can't stand the state of creativity when it comes to like shows and stuff.
Bro,
I just despise it. It's so irritating. They do a terrible job with characters, and it's because everyone is like geared towards this. We have to reflect the world that we live in. And I'm like, no, it's fantasy, stupid. It's not supposed to reflect that. That's the point.
Yeah.
It's just so
it's
dumb.
very much that. I sit in like, we have so many things to watch. I've got HBO Max, Netflix, Prime, all these things, and I get home, like now I don't really have anything. I'm watching The White Lotus on HBO, but that's it. But like, I'm like, how come out of all these things I can't find anything?
The Queen's Gambit is really good. I just watched The Queen's Gambit. That was a good one.
That's like from 2020. That's
a good show.
But hey, I'll give you that. It's a good show. I actually rewatched Tiger King just because I loved it.
That's real entertainment right there, boy.
Dude,
that's me. Every time I go to the grocery store now, like, I'm never going to be able to financially recover from this.
Yeah. Did you guys see that post I posted the other day on my Instagram where people are dying? Guess what, motherfucker?
Yeah.
And then the dude peels.
I love that guy.
Oh, dude, that's the best.
I love that guy.
Shit. Oh yeah. So I have a random question since I rewatched Tiger King. A lot of people just let it go to the wayside, but I think Carol Baskins did kill her husband.
She definitely did.
And did feed him to a tiger.
Yep.
Yeah.
That definitely happened.
And that's a conspiracy you guys can get behind. That's what I'm talking about.
That's not a conspiracy. She definitely did.
Everyone thinks that.
Well, how was she on Dancing with the Stars?
Because nobody gives a fuck that she killed her husband. It's kind of cool. Yeah, it's a cool story if you think about it. No one knows
it's
her
like
husband.
the OJ of white women.
Yeah,
Kind of.
I mean, yeah. I mean, think about it. Kind of.
Kind of, dude.
Oh, Andrew, you were
Yeah.
disappointed with the end of Lord of the Rings, weren't you?
Oh my gosh, that was
Bro,
terrible.
I've been waiting.
$800 million. I was like, that's it.
So you were disappointed with Sauron, which is a
Yes.
little funny because it's about the only thing that they did in that show that was lore accurate.
Really?
Sauron was a shapeshifter. He could take on multiple forms. He could take on the forms of man. He could take on the form of elf, dwarf, werewolf, a snake, a vampire. He was a shapeshifter. That's like the only thing that they got right. Everything
I
else
thought it was the dumbest part of the series. I was like,
it's
that's
because
Sauron?
it's because they didn't fucking build that up at all, or it's just very
No.
poor writing.
No.
Go up.
He walks up on top of this hill, and then somebody says, or he's like, I am Sauron. And I'm like, what? Like you would think Sauron, whatever. How do you say his name?
Sauron. That's
Sauron.
the only part of the show that was lore accurate. So Galadriel in the very first episode.
Quick, Lane, did you watch that?
No, fuck no, dude.
Yeah, you
in
I'm gonna be
the
honest
very
with you.
first episode with they broke lore. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, to be honest with you, I have wasted after Game of Thrones. I'm so jaded on committing to TV, so I just kind of let the critical drinker watch it first, and then I see what he says, and then
I love
just
the critical drinker.
He's like I'm like, well, he did it for me, so now I know.
Who's the critical drinker?
He's a YouTuber, and he breaks down why the state of writing is so horrible, but he does it with is it Scottish or Irish accent?
I think he's Irish. Yeah, he's Irish.
Fucking hilarious, though. It's hilarious. You got to check out the critical drinker.
He's like a film critic. He's great. He's great, man.
He's
All right,
so
I'll check him out.
Funny. But yeah, they broke lore on the very first episode. Galadriel, when they were sending her back to Valinor, that couldn't have happened because she had been banished from Valinor. She never went to Numenor.
Yeah.
She never held a sword, not even once. And she never lost her husband because they got married at the very beginning of her life in Valinor. He didn't go anywhere. They were together literally the entire time.
It's a really weird series. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like it's just too whoosh. There's not really consistency like Game of Thrones.
The problem is Amazon bought the rights to the appendices. And I'm sorry, but if I'm Amazon, I am begging the Tolkien estate to sell me the rights to the Silmarillion and the Unfinished Tales. And I don't care if I got to spend $1 billion on it, because you can drag that show out for 15 seasons. There's so much material in the Silmarillion. And then when I'm done purchasing it from the Tolkien estate, I'm going to George R.R. Martin and Peter Jackson and anybody else that even dabbles in fantasy with any sort of legitimacy, and I'm begging them on bended knee to help me make a life project out of this. Because the Silmarillion would be a fucking incredible show if it's done right. It has to have room to breathe. You don't have to. So unlike Game of Thrones, where you have to have Jon Snow be there for all 8 seasons or Daenerys be there for all 8 seasons, you could do like 3 seasons and have all the same actors and then move on to a different storyline, and you could bring in a whole different set of actors because of the way that Tolkien progressed the timeline. Like there's big time hops in it, kind of like in the House of Dragon. So you wouldn't have to keep all those actors on payroll for 10, 12 years or whatever and pay them bajillions of dollars, because you could move on to the next group pretty easily.
It just didn't seem like a Lord of the Rings at the end of the day.
No, it didn't have that feel at all. It had the feel of people that wanted to reflect the times that we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were talking about Amazon owning it. They only own the rights to the appendices. Well, to kind of shift, who's this basketball player that he made a tweet and then like the NBA is going after him?
Kyrie
Irving.
Oh, yeah. Kyrie's in trouble again?
Yeah.
Oh, poor Kyrie.
He put out a link to he tweeted out a link to like some movie that was basically a Holocaust denial movie, I think.
On Amazon. On Amazon.
Yeah.
So, and then they're giving him shit, but like the whole premise behind it is this what movie is on Amazon. So why are
Yeah,
you
but I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure you can buy like Mein Kampf on Amazon. Maybe not, but it's like
You can. I've tried to do it.
Yeah, so that's not Amazon's fault, and I would say that Amazon is right to sell those things because
right? Fuck the censorship.
yeah, I think it's ridiculously got to be the dumbest fucking thing in the world because there's literally still like people's grandparents that are like, oh yeah, no, I was at those concentration camps and I liberated them, and there's little, you know, these far right people. I'm sorry, the far right people piss me off just as much as the far left people because they have you ask them to defend their beliefs and they can't. It's like they're like, well, the doors wouldn't have sealed at Auschwitz, and so the gas could have gotten out. I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
You're right, because they can't, keep up with the leak.
That's what I'm saying.
Just like a car garage when you kill yourself.
Yes,
like the windows would have let air out. Yeah.
I get like a conspiracy about the pyramids or something because that was a lot of people were alive that were in those concentration camps, dude. Like still, like it's not like it's not, you don't have to guess. There's video. like I just don't.
And there's tons of pictures of people piled up in like trenches.
Took responsibility for it. It's not like they
and got killed for it.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
At Nuremberg, they all were like, "Yeah, we fucking did it." Like.
Yep.
Yeah. I've never understood that either.
I have a question for you, Lane. And my question is this, and it's my main beef with the state of education and information at large. Why are we taught in such excess about the Nazis and about the Holocaust?
And not the communists?
But what happened in Soviet Russia is just like,
what happened in all doing China?
This.
Yeah.
Or that too. Yeah. What?
I think so. If I had to guess, it would be because from what I can understand about everything in America, there was a big reset after World War II. And at least, or maybe not, but there was never a point with the Chinese, to an extent, I get it, because there was such a time period when this was happening that we de facto were kind of trying to get along with these people to go against the Russians. Now, that doesn't, so maybe you want to hide their atrocities, just like we hid the Russian atrocities in World War II, so we could team up with them when we needed to. But
yeah.
I think that's maybe a little bit, but I think the bigger picture is because there's so many people that inherently believe in the ideology behind the cause, that if you shit on the Russians and you shit on the Chinese, you're inherently shitting on the idea of Marx's utopia. And they don't want to do that because they still believe that that's an achievable thing. I mean, it's not like there's it's not like there's a bunch of, dyed in the wool Republicans teaching in public schools, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. That's just a guess. I don't have the exact answer, but that's
I was just curious to know what your theory. It's a huge beef I have with Western society and our approach to education. I understand the Nazis.
No, keep going.
What they did was obviously very, very bad, but it was, when you scale it, it's pretty minimal compared to 100 million dead in the name of communism between Soviet Russia and China.
Yeah.
Not to take any. Keep going, Lane.
I would just say, and there's this inherent desire for Americans for sensationalism, and the way the Nazis did it was scary, right? It was, you put a bunch of people, you round them up and you gas them, and it's very visual. But in China, you starve people to death. Like, you don't feed them. People get sick. I mean, in Russia, you put people in the gulags, but it doesn't. I don't know. There's not this identifiable villain because it's Russians killing Russians and it's Chinese killing Chinese. It's not like this German versus Jew. There's just not this easily understandable dichotomy, I guess. And I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just trying to think of the reasons that it might be the way that it is. I don't know, though, but it is. It's abhorrent that at this time we're like, this ideology that you all think is cool and you put on your little coexist bumper sticker? Yeah, it's killed more people than anything in the history of the world.
Yeah, and it's not even close.
No.
It's not even in the ballpark.
What do you guys think of Ukraine accidentally shooting that missile into Poland?
War is hell.
Yeah. I think both sides, like the right's incessant desire to be against what the left likes turns them into the Ukrainians deserve to die too. It's like, no, Zelensky's probably an asshole, but it's also their sovereign territory and they should probably be able to keep it. So Russia's the bigger asshole. I mean, it's not like Ukraine's this utopian society, but they didn't really do anything wrong. So the Russians Vladimir Putin's a dickhead. Vladimir Zelensky's an idiot. There's a difference. Like, it's
So
not
eloquent.
like Zelensky. It's not like Zelensky shot the missile at Poland. They're like, oh, we destroyed the Polacks. That's
What
all
happened?
doing.
Do you guys know?
Yeah, the Russians shot missiles, and the air defense system in Ukraine missed the incoming missile, and it flew into Poland and killed a couple people, which sucks. But even the Polish president comes out, he's like, yo, it was Ukraine. It was fucked up, but really the responsibility lies with Russia because they started this. And that's kind of, I agree with that.
Like collateral damage?
Yeah. I mean, you should probably be better with your terminology, but
try not to hit the other country.
And what I will say about Zelensky is he is lying. He tried to lie about it. And he's basically trying to get the West involved in this ground war. And that is something I do not support that shit at all.
Yeah.
Will the House and, being a little bit more balanced, like between the House and the Senate, will that help that situation not, eventually become something like that?
If Moscow decides to shoot a tactical nuke at Warsaw and blow it up, then yes, we're going to be in a war. But until something like that happens, no.
What's the probability in your mind of something like that happening?
Zero, because Vladimir Putin also wants to exist. Like, I mean, maybe he's going to go out and get like Alzheimer's, like, former Vice President Joe Biden, but
and Buzz Aldrin.
Anything short of him thinking that he's about to be deposed of his power and that the Russian state is about to fall. No, I don't think he's going to launch any weapons into NATO. I don't think he knows he can't win that. There's no winning that fight for him.
What is going to happen? You think they're just going to come to some agreement like, here, let's sign this treaty of peace and white flags and let me take over this little part of Ukraine and I'm happy? Like,
I don't even know if Russia has the leverage to do that at this point. I mean, I guess they still do have their nuclear arsenal, which is pretty good fucking leverage if you ask me. But other than that, their military has proved pretty much incapable. All their traditional weaponry is not working. Their tactics are terrible. So it's not like they're this juggernaut of a military that everyone is fearing. And what they fear is the use of the nuclear weapon somewhere. So I don't know. I don't know how it ends until I don't know. That's the only way that it could end, in my opinion, is Russia's like, okay, we're going to keep Crimea and a little bit of eastern Ukraine. And
he's going to want a piece of the cookie. Yeah. He's going to want a piece of this cookie. He's not going to want to do all this and then be like, fuck, I got my ass kicked.
Right, of course, I agree with you. But I don't know. I can't tell you exactly how it ends. But if anybody says they can, they're lying to you right now.
What you guys is we'll end the pod here pretty soon, but what are you guys most thankful for coming up this Thanksgiving? This is random as hell, but
yep.
I like throwing these random thankful fors out there. I can hear my daughter crying. That's why I know I got to wrap this up.
Oh, ruh-roh.
It's all good. We've been sick, man. We had the flu for the last. I had it. Me and my daughter had it, dude. Jaymes, have you gone through that with your kids, seeing them all terribly sick and like barely?
Oh, bro, we get sick once a week here. It's like a party.
The infants is the scary.
Hamilton gets sick. Girls get sick. I get sick. Sarah gets sick. Shit, we all get sick, man. It's great. I love having a cold and like be a permanent part of my existence. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you got 4 of those little germ magnets, dude.
Bro, have you ever heard of a little thing called hand, foot, mouth disease?
What?
Yeah, horses get it.
Dude, yeah, so do people.
We
got hand, foot, mouth disease one time, and so it's kids are super susceptible to it. It's a virus. So if you go to the doctor, they're going to say, yep, ride it out. Good luck. But it is
miserable on kids. My kids they've had the flu, they've had multiple millions of colds. I've never had anything be as awful as hand, foot, mouth disease was.
What is it? Like, what's
So
the symptoms?
it's I know all I know is it's a virus. I think someone told me once that it's a herpes based virus, so like you could pick it up like at like a gym or like a bathroom or something like that. But it manifests itself through like boils on your skin, on your hands, and your feet, and in your genital areas, and it's fucking miserable. Like the girls got it, and I think Sarah had it, and she basically told me it felt like her hands and her fingers were like on fire.
You get boils?
Yeah, and your fingernails will fall off afterwards.
Ugh.
So I think the girls lost several toenails through the whole thing, and I think I lost a couple fingernails.
When
This
did
was
that
like
happen?
this was like 4 years ago. The girls were like 3. It was horrible.
That's terrible.
Bro, it was the worst sickness I've ever been around. And I don't know how I didn't get it, but I didn't get it.
Is it a form of
Weirdest thing.
staph? Is it like a cousin to staph or something?
It could be. It could be.
No,
But yeah,
no, it sounds like
it's
a virus.
awful.
If it's herpes virus, the staph is a bacterial infection. So.
That's
Okay,
true.
I
That's
don't know.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But it's miserable. But once you get it, you won't get it again. It's kind of like chickenpox. Once you get it, you'll never get it again.
Hands and mouth disease?
Hand, foot, mouth disease. It's the worst.
Dang.
And kids are super susceptible to it.
I'll have to look into that because that does
Yeah.
not sound fun.
Just don't take her to the gym. Just don't go to the gym with her.
Well,
Andrew,
I want to
go to
put
the
her.
gym.
I want to put her in gym. Come on, dog. Look at these guys. Go to the gym all the time. I want to put her in. I want to put her in gymnastics. So that's kind of creepy. A little bit.
I don't know how it came about. I'm just saying. It's
all
I
good.
suspected it came from.
That's why it reminds me of staph, because like when I did jujitsu, like that was the number one thing dudes were getting, and I know it comes from sweat and bacteria and all that crap. Staph's not fun, but that sounds way worse.
It was so bad. It was not fun.
You didn't get it, but the girls did.
I don't know how. Do my kids get sick all the time? And a lot of times I don't get it. I don't know how that works out, but Sarah will get it. But Sarah just went through chemo, so her immune system is like just destroyed. So if the kids get a cold, like she got a cold and the kids had a cold, it was a few weeks ago. Dude, she just gets her ass kicked.
Yeah.
Like she'll spike a fever and just be down and out for like a day. I'm like,
that's
man,
rough.
like there's nothing that we can do. Like the best thing that she can do is to get sick and to build her immune system back up.
So she's got how many more years isn't it a 5-year thing of cancer free, and then you kind of get off everything?
And then no, she's off of everything right now. There's no more treatment or anything like that. But that's the marker for a doctor telling you that you're in remission. Is they want you 5 years out. A lot of reoccurrences from the little bit of internet reading I did. Most reoccurrences happen within the first 2.5 years out of chemo.
Okay. Lane is in for it though, dude, when he has kids. Because like that's something I never thought about until I had kids, is how sick you are all the time.
Oh, bro, it's so annoying.
All the time, Lane.
So annoying.
It is so annoying.
Always, we always be getting a cold. It's get so tired of colds.
Okay, so let's revert back to what we're thankful for, and we'll wrap this up.
Oh right, colds. I love a good cold. My favorite. Oh man.
What are you thankful for, Jaymes, in this coming holidays?
It's been a really busy year. I've been gone a lot. I've been out doing mows, and we're about to go out again in December. So I'm super thankful for any time that I get them home at this point in time. I'm super thankful for my kids. I see a lot of changes in the girls. They're 5. They're going to be 6 soon. So that little reel that you see of Jordan Peterson talking about that age between 1 and 5 being kind of a peak experience, man. It really is. Missed a lot of it with my girls because I was on the road. I see a lot of it with Hamilton, and I definitely see a lot of it with Fifi. So I'm super thankful to be home
for at least those two, for 1 to 4. I've been gone a lot, but it's not as much as it used to be. It's just, so I'm thankful that I get to be here and experience that, because, man, once they get past 5 or 6, it changed, bro. Dude, eat one up.
Yeah.
You're up, man, because once she gets past a certain age, it's like fits and sarcasm and all the stuff. But dude, Fifi's so cute, you know. She's a year old. Hamilton's 3. He's what I call a 3-nager. I don't know what anybody ever says terrible twos, because 3 is hell. 3 is hell.
Yeah.
So super thankful that I get to be here for a lot more for Phoenix and Hamilton, being between the ages of 1 and 4. So
Good.
Y'all weepy on you guys.
I like it. What about you, Lane?
I guess the thing that I've realized lately is, so with Jeremy coming out and then my friend coming out and then me going to be able to visit you and then being able to visit my friend in Oakland, and I just have so many, really, even as like a young adult, I don't know what you even call the age group that we're in necessarily.
How old are you?
But 32. So
you're a fucking man, bro. What are you talking about? You are a grown ass man, Lane Kendall.
No, but we're not middle aged. You know what I don't know what this. I understand I'm a man.
You're
but
grown,
I don't know
bitch.
Yes, but everyone over the age of 24. Anyway, what I'm saying is, like, where I'm at in my life, I feel very lucky to have maintained so many close relationships, close friendships, because I know that most people get to this age and they don't have those things anymore. And so I feel very, very lucky. You know, it hasn't quite worked out to what I wanted in the romantic department, but I'm also lucky for the opportunity of tomorrow. Like, I can get up and I can walk and I can run and I can exercise and I can go try. And I think sometimes a lot of people underrate the ability to try, just to have that, because a lot of people don't have that. They have been given terrible circumstances. And so sometimes I feel down on myself because things aren't working out exactly like I want them to, but I've been, given a lot. And I think in the relationship department, as far as with my family and my friends, I'm very lucky, and I'm very thankful for that. And I'm kind of selfish with that sometimes. So I thank you for asking that question, Andrew. But other than that, I know in a couple of podcasts with you, Andrew, I've kind of quote unquote shit on like Haviland for having like kind of weird views and stuff. But the people in Haviland, like, I still believe a lot of the stuff that I learned there. And I am so lucky to have grown up in a community like that, because I don't think I could have done the things that I've done without the people that were in my life when I was younger. And that's not just my family, but it's my friends and my teachers and the community as a whole. And specifically someone that I was talking to your brother about, Andrew, is like Coach Blattner. Like, that dude, like, I don't think we realize how lucky we were to have that guy in our life as young men.
He was a great man.
Apple's hands, baby.
Dude, Apple's pockets.
Pockets.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just an example that comes to my head. That is a great man that most people will never, like, outside of my dad, that's the most influential person that I had growing up. And most people would be lucky to have an actual father that cared about them that much. And so, like, just the community of Haviland as a whole, and him specifically, I've been given a lot. And so I'm just thankful for that.
Yeah.
Touche on that, man. I'll piggyback off that a little bit. I think about Haviland a lot, especially being a dad, and I know Jaymes does too, and the upbringing we've been blessed to be a part of. I went to Haviland 2 weeks ago, and it's kind of weird not seeing anybody cruising the streets and, doing our shenanigans that we did in high school all the time. It's a little dead since the high school.
It's a lot quieter now, but we can thank Barkley for keeping it somewhat alive.
For sure. And I love that the grade school is still alive. That grade school life. So I walked the halls of it, and I just was like, oh my gosh, nothing's changed. Like, it was just, it was awesome just to see that piece of time. But yeah, Coach Blattner, same with Coach Rob. Like, just those people who just are awesome. And I think, after Nate's passing, I just really, I know, dude, after Nate's passing, I really, took the time to just really take in, like, life is short. And, things can happen. A car wreck can happen. We saw that terrible accident happen in Dallas in that plane show. I don't know, just things can happen. And so I'm super thankful for life. I'm super thankful for you guys. You know, starting this podcast, I didn't realize how cool it would be to actually just be engaged with people I didn't think I'd be engaged with in a long time. And it's been cool getting texts, getting calls, stuff like that. And then clearly I'm thankful for my family. And yeah, and I'm thankful for my health. I got to work on that. Like Lane said, I need to hit the gym more.
So do I.
But yeah, I'm thankful for you guys like crazy. And I'm super appreciative of you guys taking the time every time I hit you up. Hey, can you get on? Can you do this? You guys want to do this? You guys are always like, yeah, let's freaking rock it. And I thank you.
Dude, I love this. Like, I like this dynamic
fun.
here tonight a lot, actually. This is really fun.
Yeah, yeah, heck yeah, great conversation. And the funny thing is, you know, I ask people to be on, and they're like, "What will I talk about?" It doesn't matter, man. It's just a good conversation.
Just bullshit, dude. Just
bullshit.
Hang out, man.
If you listen to 99% of podcasts, unless you're a freaking murder podcast, which I don't know how they do it, but they're all this. And I'll tell you what, I'll listen to. I enjoy doing this. People can make fun of me. People can judge me. I don't care. I like this. Yeah. And I love what it's doing. So with that said,
it's fun. It's fun.
Hell yeah.
It's really fun.
We'll do it again. I was wanting to get Jeremy on because Jeremy, he had an emergency tonight. If you ask me, it's an emergency booty call. But I wanted him on with all three of us because he would have brought some technological views to it, and I love when he does that, and it's cool to pick my brother's brain on that. So we'll do this again, is what I'm saying. And Jeremy, he's got some making up to do and getting on here with all three of us. So
yeah, I need need the first leg of my 4x8 to be on here.
Heck yeah, we'll talk about that good old race. But anybody listening, like, subscribe, do the damn thing, please. Tell a friend, and have a good one. Peace, guys.
Later.
Lazy yellow moon coming up tonight, shining through the trees. Crickets are singing and lightning bugs are floating on the breeze. Baby, get ready. Across the field where the creek turns back by the old stumble road, I'm gonna take you to a special place that nobody knows. Baby, get ready. Ooh, you and me going fishing in the dark, lying on our backs and counting the stars where the cool grass grows. Down by the river in the full moonlight, we'll be falling in love in the middle of the night, just moving slow. Staying the whole night through, it feels so good to be with you. Spring is almost over and the summer's coming, the days are getting long. I waited all